Well, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. I'm Bill Gruhl, the CEO at Protein Industries Canada. And before we start, I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge that the City of Toronto is on the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat people, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people. I'd also like to acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13, signed with the Mississaugas of the Credit, and the Williams Treaty, signed with multiple Mississaugas and Chippewa bands. As I'm sure many of you are aware, our sector has a very exciting week ahead. Today marks the start of Canada's Plant-Based Food Week, and tomorrow we kick off Plant Forward, Canada's premier conference, bringing together international ingredient food processing manufacturing and the plant-based food sector of Canada. It's a week to celebrate what Canada's plant protein sector has to offer here at home and around the world. With them happening at the same time this year, it's a great opportunity to bring attention to the sector and the innovative ingredient and food offerings our Canadian entrepreneurs are creating. And today's announcement is a tremendous step in displaying that information. The project we're announcing today brings together Wamame Foods, represented by Blair Bullis, AGT Food and Ingredients, with representation from Murad Al-Khatib, Crush Dynamics, represented by Kirk Moyer, who will be on the screen joining us virtually, Apex Food Source, represented by Gil Goldstein, who is also on the screen. And we'll be hearing from some of them soon, but before we do, I would like to welcome to the microphone Julie Zarowitz, Member of Parliament for Davenport, Ontario. MP Zarowitz has represented her riding since 2015. She currently serves on the House of Commons Parliamentary Finance Committee and also as chair of the Canada-NATO Parliamentary Association. Please join me in welcoming MP Zarowitz.
Thanks so much, Bill. Thanks for that kind introduction. It's a real pleasure for me to be here this afternoon on behalf of our Minister of Innovation, François-Philippe Champagne. I want to say huge thanks to Riley's Kitchen Studio, who's here in my riding of Davenport and who's hosting us today. It's always great to go to different parts of the riding and do these great announcements. You know, Bill, you were mentioning that I was first elected in 2015. So before that, I had about 20 years of business experience. And I know one of the first things I was consumed with when I came into office is how we were going to focus some of our efforts from the Canadian economy perspective. And one of the big battle that we initially had in the initial days of our Liberal government just over 8 years ago was how do we start focusing more on key economic sectors that we're already good at, and then properly fund them and provide them with incentives to the private sector to actually invest, because it's not possible for us to be able to fund everything equally. And it's better for us to say, well, where are our strengths and where do we actually start putting more money into so that we could actually become leaders both nationally and internationally. And that's where we actually came up with our cluster strategy. And our aim was not only to strengthen the cluster or sector in Canada, but also to become global leaders. So the protein industries cluster is one of the 5 of the global innovation clusters to date that we have set up. And the government of Canada has invested nearly $2 billion in the global innovation clusters to continue to strengthen their ecosystems and position Canada for global markets. And in our federal budget of 2022, we put in $750 million over 5 years, specifically for the Canada Global Innovation Cluster. And the announcements I'm making today actually comes from that funding that we very specifically announced. I had to do a little bit of learning about this because I didn't realize that we had a protein industry cluster. But I'm glad to hear about it because I do know that it is targeting to increase the value of key Canadian crops such as canola, wheat, and pulses, and to serve growing markets in North America, Asia, Europe for plant-based meat alternatives and new food products. The protein industries clusters bring partners together that span across the value chain from seed genetics, seed genetics to farmers, to ingredients and food processors, through to consumers in Canada and around the world, all while embracing new technology to improve the sustainability and traceability of our food from field to fork. And so I know that we wrote a sector-wide strategy, which we named the Road to 25 billion. And the aim there is to achieve $25 billion in annual sales from plant-based food and ingredients by 2035, with the clusters helping Canada get closer to achieving this goal and hopefully leading to more jobs for Canadians and more food options and innovations. And we've set aside $323 million for this specific cluster. And I had mentioned earlier, the global demand for protein is growing, including the demand for alternatives such as those derived from protein-rich crops. And indeed, I was remarking when I was preparing for this announcement, we had a huge group come to my office on Friday, and they're called the Plant-Based Treaty. And their main goal is to promote a shift towards plant-based food systems that would enable us to live safely within our planetary boundaries and reforest the earth. So there's a huge movement that is actually working its way, not only to sort of parliamentarians, but across, I think, our society, to try to encourage people to eat more plant-based foods. And I'd also say to you, given the fact that there's a wider range of cuisines and flavors, that there's a natural tendency towards plant-based proteins. So today we're announcing federal funding for the following: Protein Industries Canada partnering with Wamame Foods, Apex Food Source, Crush Dynamics, and AGT Food and Ingredients to develop, expand, and scale the existing Wamame premium plant-based product line called Wagyu. In addition, new food technologies and products using Canadian ingredients will be created, and all this will increase production for products for international markets. So it's my great pleasure to announce that we're giving $2.8 million to this specific project. I will say to you, as someone who's only once in her lifetime actually eaten Wagyu beef, I find it very interesting that we've named the premium plant-based product line Wagyu. So anyways, and I'm sure I'm saying it incorrectly, but I love it. Anyways, I know that we're going to be hearing from a few other speakers about the importance of this announcement and about the partnership, so I won't go into it. I just want to say, to me, it's an exciting announcement. It's an exciting announcement in an innovative sector where Canada is poised to lead both nationally and internationally. And so I want to say congratulations to Wamame, to Apex, to Crush, and AGT. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much, MP Zarowitz. It's always so encouraging to be, as a prairie kid, here in the Greater Toronto Area, talking about the importance of agriculture and food, and making sure that we're creating sustainable options for the rest of Canada and the rest of the world. Thanks again to the support of your fellow MPs and the Government of Canada. It's a very significant part in moving forward the innovative work that we're going to be talking about today, and we really do appreciate your continued support. As you mentioned in your comments, Canada's ingredients, food, and bioproduct sector has the potential to inject $25 billion of additional income and revenue into the Canadian economy and support an incremental 17,000 jobs. To get there, however, requires continued investment in innovation and infrastructure, and today's project is a perfect example of that innovation. The 4 companies that are innovating today are bringing their expertise to the technology to create something truly impressive, a line of plant-based food products that are higher in protein than their traditional counterparts. And that can be difficult and challenging to achieve, as I'm sure Blair and his partners can attest to, particularly when trying to meet consumer expectations around taste and texture and price. But balancing all of that is one of the primary focus of innovators creating this next generation of food. And through collaboration, today's project partners are helping lay the foundation for that next generation. And importantly, they're also taking these products to international markets. By doing so, they're helping Canada make a more competitive player on the global stage and attracting investments and creating a better environment for other innovators and a stronger economy for all Canadians. And I'd like to thank them for their work and for the benefits that they'll bring to Canadians and consumers around the world. It's exactly the type of innovation we want to celebrate, both during Plant-Based Food Week and Plant Forward, which starts tomorrow. I'd also like, again, to thank the Government of Canada for their continued support, and particularly Minister Champagne of Innovation, Science and Industry. I'd like to thank the many Protein Industry Canada staff who helped bring this project to what it is now, and several of them are in the room here today. And finally, I'd like to extend my congratulations to the project partners. Your work is commendable, and I can't wait to taste what you've developed. And before we get there, we have a few more people to hear from. And I'd like to start by inviting Blair Bullis, the founder and president of Wamame Foods, forward.
Thank you very much, Bill, and MP Zurwitz. I really appreciate both of you coming, and everybody else here at PIC and the media that's online. This is a really exciting event for us, not just because we get to announce a new project with new funding, something that is like it will really move the needle for this company and the companies that are involved in terms of developing new and innovative products. We are known as developing Wagyu, which is a premium plant-based product that we sell to restaurants, into universities, food service establishments. But what this project is really about today is developing a new higher protein product line that we have called Outlier Protein. Now, Outlier Protein has an enormous 64% more protein than cooked ground beef. Now, that is game-changing in terms of the plant protein space, because we are able to create stuff that not only meets animal protein, but exceeds it by a very wide margin. This is a complete protein, and it only uses 7 ingredients. So 7 ingredients means that this is very clean label. It uses the same protein isolates that you'd find in protein bars and protein shakes, but we're now able to create them into meat products, which allow us to actually create new products that have a significant nutritional advantage over other animal-based proteins. How we're going to actually create Outlier into a brand is we're going to put these products into real food options for the grab-and-go space that have a better protein to calorie ratio than an average protein bar. So we're looking to have 1 gram of protein to 10 calories or better in products like burritos, egg bites, soup, stews, chilies, and a wide range of different options. So this allows us to actually have a greater product line that can go into the grab-and-go space and compete directly against protein bars and protein shakes. And so we have a really unique option for athletes and those that are just looking to eat better. We have to thank the Government of Canada. We have to thank Protein Industries Canada for providing the funding for this project and what we're going to be able to do with it. One of the really unique things about this high protein space is we get to work with a bunch of really interesting people and athletes. And one of them is online right now, and his name is Matt Chatham. He is a 3-time Super Bowl champion with the Patriots. Matt has also worked in sports media for a really, really long time in the Boston area. And has developed a lot of relationships within that high protein athletic community, and he can really help drive this product forward. So we're going to introduce Matt in 1 second, but Matt also owns his own food company. So he owns a company called Rub Smoke Love. Rub Smoke Love, and so he understands the food industry really well, and he'll be able to speak coherently about protein from his own experience working in this space. So I'll just introduce Matt. Matt's online. Hopefully Matt's around to be able to talk.
I'm here, Blair. Yes, you guys hear me okay?
Yep, perfect.
Hey, thank you for the introduction. I'm really excited to be here, and kind of as Blair had mentioned, I'm involved in a spice and seasoning company, and just the notion as an athlete of having something that is, that hits it out of the park in the protein to calorie ratio. That's something that's exciting for a former athlete and for current athletes. I'm the kind of guy, unfortunately, that was very averse to the protein shake thing. Stomach didn't handle it well. Don't enjoy that as sort of a post-workout. When I'm on the go, I'm looking for something more durable, that's more real food. I love that phrase that Blair uses. So the notion of having something that is this competitive with a direct meat product, but then also can kill it on the ratio aspect is exciting, because honestly, you're just looking for something that gets the job done. That's not a shake. That's not just a bar that you're enduring, something that you can actually enjoy. So the entire concept for athletes, this is something I see as just incredible potential and something that will be very appealing to guys like myself.
I appreciate that. I'll throw it back to Bill, but I appreciate everybody showing up, and we'll have samples for you afterwards.
Awesome. Thanks, thanks, Blair. It's certainly exciting. I'd now like to invite Murad Al-Khatib to join us. Murad, you were supposed to be here in person, but I know firsthand getting out of Regina isn't always easy, and your flight got canceled. So thanks for joining us virtually. Murad, you got a few comments you'd like to bring?
I do. Thanks, Bill. And definitely was at the airport at 4:45 a.m. and then they canceled me. So anyway, I will see all of you later on as I get to Toronto tonight. But thanks for the introduction, Bill. Always great to participate in the great work that we're doing at Protein Industries Canada. You know, the origins of our participation in this project go back to projects that were announced back in 2020. When I founded AGT 23 years ago, I never would have imagined that we would become a $3 billion Canadian champion in pulse crops, plant-based protein foods and ingredients. And we've been an active leader in plant-based food markets, extending our milling expertise into processing our plant-based concentrates into products ready to go to market. At AGT, we envision building out dedicated manufacturing in Canada, not only to produce texturized pulse protein, but also a smaller extruder to conduct customer-focused R&D into innovative plant-based products. Protein Industries Canada bought into that vision in 2020 and helped to support the development of the Extrusion Center of Excellence in Regina, Saskatchewan. Now operational, this $15 million facility is producing not only products for commercial markets, but R&D that we anticipate will develop into commercial products on full-scale extruders, including that texturized pulse protein, extruded snacks, and other plant-based products. Part of that approach in 2020 was that we would be able to conduct Canadian R&D and commercialization in partnership with the plant-based ecosystem and produce those innovative products and work with companies like Wamame on not only developing new products, but to onshore their manufacturing right here into Canada. The innovative approach of matching large businesses like AGT with nimble innovation commercialization entities like Wamame is exactly the approach many of us advocated in the early conceptualization of the protein cluster concepts. Now we're excited to demonstrate that the results of the investment as we collaborate with Wamame and the broader consortium on R&D efforts in support of the high protein product lines for convenience customers and the Wagyu product line. We're pretty optimistic this is going to be a very interesting initiative. Consumption of plant-based protein is widespread in the world. However, it's not consumed in the same manner in Canada and in North America generally. It is through innovative projects like the Wagyu product line and the current convenience format project that will continue to advance that consumer initiative, giving consumers access to new products that meet their needs and demands and extend Canada's position as the main stop on the protein highway. Protein and calories, dietary fiber, digestibility of protein, glycemic index and nutritional factors, and of course, not to forget the most important as well, affordability and availability are key to the success of this project. This project is set to address all those issues, Bill. I want to thank Blair and the team at Wamame for their innovation and work on the project, as well as Apex Food Source, Crush Dynamics. And you know, innovation starts with ideas, and with the support of a team and hard work, it's going to be realized as this product is introduced to the market. We believe this one is going to be a success story. We're glad we're putting our strength behind it as well, and thank you all for coming today.
Yeah, great. Thank you, Murad. You really hit on something central to what we're trying to do here at Protein Industries Canada, which is this idea of collaborative innovation and connecting a company like yours with global reach with a number of startups in Canada to help them grow and scale is a critical element of what we're trying to do. So we've heard a lot about the samples we get to try today. So I'd like to thank everyone for joining us online, but you should have come in person because we do get an opportunity to try some of the great new products that this innovation project has funded and supported. For those of you media online, if you've got questions to submit through the app, we're happy to answer those. Also happy to engage in one-on-one interviews for later dates if that's preferred. I'm just going to pause for a second and see if there was any questions that have come in. Okay, well, if we're seeing none, that's fine. We have a news release that we can issue to media, and again, happy to schedule one-on-one interviews as with the partners, I'm sure. So thank you all for joining us today, and for those of you who have joined me in person in the room, we'll move on to the fun part of the announcement, which is late lunch. So thank you, everyone, and bye.